Connor McDavid and his teammate Leon Draisaitl, the leading point scorers and top favorites for the Hart Trophy. McDavid's at plus 150, Draisaitl at plus 300. Still at plus money here. Do you like one of these Oilers, Paul?
You know what? I hate to disappoint Geoff, but I think Oilers fans, himself included, realize the club is still a little bit flawed with weak goaltending and defensive issues. They're currently 14th in the overall standings, so I have a little bit of trouble picking a guy from a team that low in the overall standings as the MVP. I'm more likely to bet on the great eight at the Washington Capitals. They're going to be at the top of the standings when it's all said and done. And I can imagine Ovechkin staying in the scoring race as well as being among the top point getters and goal scorers. So I think you got to make a great case for a guy who will be a sentimental favorite as well. And if that's not to your taste, I think the same thing applies to the Leafs Austin Matthews, particularly if he passes Draisaitl and Ovi in the race for top scorer in the league on a stingier and stronger Toronto Maple Leafs club. I bet on 34, and his price is set at $1,400 right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Ovi because, Geoff, you made me think like those two could split the votes as many teammates do, and Ovechkin at plus 750 could bring a little better value to the table, right?
Yeah, look, I mean, everything Paul said is correct about the Oilers players this year. It's tough to get on them at these odds right now just because I think the Oilers, as a lot of people probably who watch hockey, if you're not shocked to see them regress a little bit. Their defense really hasn't been that good all year. They got some hot goaltending at good times, but now that goaltending is dried up and Mike Smith's still out, and they need to address that at some point this year. But I think the bigger thing here is, and Paul touched on it, if Austin Matthews catches these guys in the scoring race, let's not forget, like he missed games at the start of the year. I mean, this would be a pretty big story. And I think that with how well Toronto is playing as a team, I mean, I think that the media, especially with him playing in a big market, would be more than happy to give him the MVP. Let's not forget Connor McDavid, already multiple in the bag. We've seen this in other sports with guys like Patrick Mahomes. Once they get a couple, sometimes, they'll just give another guy a chance for a year. And I think if Matthews does catch these guys in the scoring race, that's going to really open up the door for him to come and snatch this trophy. And I like taking him at plus 1,400, like double the odds of Ovi. I think Ovi definitely has a little bit of value there, but I just take a shot with Austin Matthews right now. He's playing really well. The Leafs are playing well. They're going to be up there in the standings. They're a solid team from top to bottom, and those are way bigger odds than I thought you'd be getting on Austin Matthews right now today. So,
Geoff, whose odds do you like at this point for the Vezina? I'm looking here. Vasilevsky, the favorite right now, plus 500.
I mean, look, betting goalies at any time of the year in futures is kind of crazy because like these guys can just go on hot streaks. And they can, at the same time, they can let in 2 7-goal games, and it's like, wow, why did I bet this guy? So the Vezina one is always a little crazy, but I think Igor Shesterkin is just having a phenomenal year, and I think he's just a phenomenal goalie. This is a player who I think is more than capable of keeping up his pace through the year. He's been carrying the Rangers. If you look at the statistics, the Rangers offensively really have not been that good. They're not doing it on special teams or anything crazy like that. It's Shesterkin. I think that at plus 750, again, it's almost the same argument from the MVP award. Vasilevsky, guy who's done it before, been there before. Shesterkin, kind of the new face. I could see him getting the edge, especially with him being in a big market. So I don't mind those odds at plus 750. And I think you also got to take a look at Jakob Markstrom at plus 1,200 too, putting up a phenomenal year. But I'll go with Shesterkin as my top pick right now for the futures.
Yeah, he's tied for the best save percentage in the league. Doesn't have the strongest team in front of him either. What about you, Paul?
You know what? Everything that Geoff said is true. I want you to send the tape of the Austin Matthews thing to AJ, though, for me. I said at the start of the season that Jacob Markstrom would be my choice, and he's firmly in the mix, like Geoff said, with a 194 goals against and a 933 save percentage. But there's a bunch of other guys that merit consideration as well. Let's call Vasilevsky the benchmark in both categories and as a top candidate for the Vezina. Jack Campbell and Tristan Jarry have better numbers than him right now, and the same can be said for Freddie Anderson of the Hurricanes. He's not even listed on your DraftKings sportsbook as one of the favorites among the goaltenders. I guess you put him in the field at plus 1,200, but Jack Campbell at plus 800, Tristan Jarry at 2,500. Their numbers are better than Vasilevsky right now. So there's a whole range of chances for a goaltending expert like me to say there's 6 or 7 candidates that are in the mix here.
Yeah, no, go back to Markstrom real quick. I'm looking at the Flames are allowing the fewest goals per 60 minutes this season. He's obviously a large part of that is because of his play. But as we often have to do here on The Sweat, we got to remind Geoff, Hey, defensemen are people too. They even have their own award, Geoff. So whose odds do you like for the Norris right now? I know this could be, if you need another minute to do some research here, let me know. I can go to Paul first. I was going to let you take it away.
I thought they were just statues standing on the back end,
Yeah.
that you had to like deke around. I didn't know. I mean, it's new information for me. For the Norris Trophy, I wouldn't stray too far from the top of the board. Cale Makar is having a fantastic year. Obviously, like just the goal scoring rate is unbelievable. The Colorado offense is going to have to keep scoring because they haven't really been able to stop people on defense like they have been over the last couple of years. Their goaltending isn't that good. And I think Makar has just hit another level this year. And, you look at the defenseman behind him. I mean, some of these guys are having solid years too. I think Roman Josi is definitely a little bit interesting at plus 1,000. I mean, the Nashville Predators certainly been better on offense and just a better team than people realize. So that's the other guy I think I would consider. But I think Makar is in a very solid spot. I'm actually surprised to see him only at plus 425 right now in the DraftKings Sportsbook. I think that this were another award with a little bit more recognition, like the MVP or something. I think Makar would be closer to plus 200. I think because this is more of I don't want to say an obscure award, but people probably aren't rushing to look at the defenseman odds. I think Makar is a very good value at plus 425. I think he's firmly in the driver's seat for this award just based on his offensive capabilities. And again, I just don't see too many guys who are going to be capable of overtaking him. I think Josie is the only one who I think is kind of matching him in offensive production. But even him, if you look at the numbers, like Makar is clearly superior. So I just go to the top of the board here with the Colorado guy.
Yeah, Josie winning the Norris a couple seasons ago and is bouncing back big time after the worst year of his 10-year career last season. Paul, who stands out to you here for the Norris?
You know what? For me, there's a six-pack of candidates when you consider the leading point getters between 24 and 29 points overall. But when you look at the goal-scoring category, Makar has 12, and that's 3 ahead of anybody else in the league. So if that lead grows among the goal-scoring aspect, never mind the points, I think Makar has already made a great case as being one of the premier defensemen in the league. But it's all about the goal-scoring, and I think he's an outstanding bet at plus 425, like Geoff said. But for me, another strong candidate, maybe the second best, is Aaron Ekblad, who would be my second favorite because he's the top guy on a Florida club that's going to contend for the President's Trophy. And he's doing it at both ends of the ice with a plus 19 to go with his 24 points to date.
All right, dudes, running a little tight on time. Let's pick up the pace a little bit on these last two. Panthers, yes, you heard that right. Panthers are favorites in the East right now at plus 400, ahead of the Lightning, who obviously have the Stanley Cup pedigree. Who's your favorite bet right now for the Eastern Conference winner, Paul?
I think the Panthers are legit, and they've been without their captain for 11 games right now. Barkov will be back soon, and I like their depth more than any other team in the East right now. I would rate the Caps as the second best club, boasting similar depth assets across the board.
Geoff?
Yeah, I think there's a clear divide between the top 3 teams in the East and the last, but I do like the Panthers the best right now too. And realistically, plus 400, plus 450, it's not a big divide between the top 3 teams. I think if you're looking to go a little bit further down the board, I do think the New York Rangers, like I said, they're just getting such good goaltending. If that offense just clicks a little bit, plus 1,100 is an interesting bet there.
All right, Ulrich, get us out of here with this. Which team's odds do you like for the Western Conference winner?
Yeah, Western Conference definitely like a little bit more wide open. I think you can look down the board a little bit more. I'm gonna lean with the Dallas Stars at plus 1,400. It's the team that I just like their depth up and down, and they've gotten really good goaltending late. And I think this is a conference where you can go down the board. So I think Dallas Stars at plus 1,400 is a team I could get behind at bigger odds.
Paul, who do you like as the best in the West?
I like the same 2 clubs that dominated the West last season. That means the Golden Knights and Avalanche, I think, are on a collision course against. They have the most explosive offenses that will continue to outscore opposition most nights, and they'll have enough defense and in net to give them a similar edge against most of the other top clubs on the left side of the map. I really want to see this matchup.